Hey, what's up, Giants fan? Welcome to the one and only Giants Brawl podcast. You know where you can find us, man. You know what the deal. I'm hoping everybody's still happy with those Giants signings. Everybody wants to come here. Like who we got today? Like Danny Shelton, who signed like yesterday. Everybody
That's
just wants
right.
to play with us. Man, it's fucking wild. But
We
today,
got two more Tennessee Titans and a Cowboy.
we're just bringing everybody over here, John. That's what it is. But today, you know the guys, you know who we're with. But today, we got a very special guest with us on tonight. She's part of the Giants family. If you follow her on Twitter, you can't scroll down Twitter lane without running to one of her Giants Brawl content that's out there. She's a great combination of, I think, Kay Adams, Katie Holmes, and Bob Papa. I go with all three of them. So the
All
Bob,
smart
right. Bob Papa, huh? All right,
Bob
there we go.
Papa, you got to mix him in there. The smart, funny, and talented Steffi Smalls. What up, Steph?
What's up, guys? Pumped to be
Welcome,
here.
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime. Drink some claws. Have a good time.
There we go.
Claws. We'll get into the claws in a minute. I got a little bone to pick you with that little claw thing.
Oh,
I'm
no.
drinking the Bud Light Seltzer lemonade right here. If you guys can
Cool.
see that.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to
Listen,
that.
you got to understand, Mike's a Budweiser guy, so he has to keep the Bud Light seltzers all the time.
Yeah,
Very on brand.
That's my competition right there, that White Claw. But anyway, like Steph, how long you been doing these podcasts? Like what got you into this?
Yelling at Giants fans.
like the rest of us.
The thing is, like, it's so true. Like, I honestly re-downloaded. So I was going to medical school in the Caribbean and had to come back because of coronavirus. And then I was like, what the fuck? I'm 27 years old. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is, go all out, please. We will.
Go crazy.
And then so ended up back at my parents, and that's just exactly where you want to end up after not living at home since you were 17 years old. Who would not want to do that?
Wow.
And so it was miserable, and re-downloaded Twitter because why not harass some people? There's nothing better to do. And it was just about around the draft, so obviously ended up getting mixed up with Giants people, and then 200 followers led to 500 followers, 1,000 followers, and I started writing for New York Giants Rush, doing injury reports for them, and then it led to Fantasy Intervention, which led me down to FTN, where I am now.
Very nice. I see that.
So you mentioned something about being in the Caribbean for like medical school or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a 180 there, right? Medical school to now doing podcasts for the Giants and writing and everything else. Which of the two do you say yourself doing now?
So I actually did take the semester off officially like a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to see how things go until August. And if it goes well, then we'll just rock with it and do football full time. If it doesn't go well, then we'll just go back to med school.
All right.
Yeah.
What kind of medicine?
I like ER. So.
Oh, nice.
Eesh.
As crazy as possible,
You have an iron stomach for that shit.
I bet you could have guessed that. If you looked at my Twitter feed, I bet if someone held a gun to your head and said, what kind of medicine does she want to do? You would have said ER.
All right. This shit. Huh? So to be continued then with that question.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But FTN's, it's like a really good opportunity over there. So we'll see how things go.
And you can gamble on that, right? Is that like a gambling website too that you can?
Yeah, so I actually just started. I have a new show coming out next week. They gave me my own show, which is terrifying, but it's okay. It's also going to include some betting stuff. So they do betting, daily bets, fantasy, and just football coverage. So, and they do all sports like golf, everything.
How'd you get into becoming you were always a Giant fan, like since you were born? Is that how it happened with you?
My mom is a Giants fan, so I was born and raised Giants fan. And then my brother played football, and it was on Sundays you have pasta and meatballs and shut up and watch the Giants. It's the only time the family gets along, right? So it's so that's how I grew up. And my mom was it's so funny because my mom actually was a big fan. My dad was a fan, but not the way that my mom was. So that's where that comes from. And I remember
you got the insane gene from her with being a Giant fan. I think I get that from my dad.
Yeah, I think my dad doesn't have the patience for either of us.
Fair enough.
Well, listen, I need to know this handle that you have, Steffi Smalls. Now,
Mhm.
I think it's like related to Biggie Smalls. And then for people that don't know who Biggie Smalls is, he was a rapper of the 90s. He died way too soon. But then again, he was probably going to die either one or two ways, either gun violence or diabetes.
Yeah,
that dude was
something
just,
was taken in probably. Yes, God rest his soul. I have a
he was
I
big.
think it's him up there, but you can't see it right now. But yes, it does have to do with Biggie Smalls. My real last name is not Smalls. Probably I will be announcing my last name probably when the season happens, or maybe not if I end up back at mid school. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so it was just a play on Biggie Smalls. I am definitely a small human, so it's funny. And then the three L's, we got to account for Brady's 3 losses. So they're all right there. Just stack them right in the middle of my handle.
Fun fact about Biggie Smalls, he had the Ready to Die album, Life After Death album, which was a double album with the song Hypnotize on it that Julia Stiles actually danced on top of a table drunk in the movie 10 Things I Hate About You with the future Joker.
I love it. Oh my God.
That's a little tidbit for you guys. All right,
There
so
you
let's jump right into this madness. This is why I reached out to Steph to begin with. This hate. I seen you get some hate on Twitter, right? I know we have got some hate on Twitter. Maybe that's a good thing. I guess maybe because people were doing good things that people just love to hate on us. But my question to like you, Steph, and then I'll let you guys go. Like, are they really fans? If they're just hating on the Giants, if they're hating on Gettleman, hating on Barkley, are they really Giant fans?
They were literally fetuses when they won Super Bowls. That's why they don't know anything. Like, like they were like literally not human beings. It's not even like I can't even argue with these kids because then like I see in their handle it's like 02. Like you were born in 02. That's right. You have literally no idea what you're fucking talking about because you don't even know what the days of Coughlin and Jacobs and OC and all these guys that were like the reason why the rest of us more sane people are frustrated because we actually do need a culture because we saw for years what a culture actually does and what coaching actually does. So no, they're impatient, they're the generation of
Microwave society.
It is microwave.
I was going to say last on microwave society. That's part of it. I just think that people are more stupid nowadays. That's another part of it too.
Yeah, and it's not understanding the game too. It's like I think a lot of it is like when I grew up watching it, it was like very much like involved where like we were sitting there, I didn't have a cell phone, and when I'm asking my parents like what is going on right now, people are responding to me and interacting with me and explaining like what that play is. And fantasy wasn't as big as it is now, so you actually get a love and appreciation for the game, where I don't think you have a love and appreciation for the game anymore. Everyone wants a mobile quarterback because you want a mobile quarterback on your fantasy team. This is like not how it works, and people just forget like you need a good O-line. Okay, like if you don't have an O-line, you literally can't play football. That's right. It, period. Like there's no point in having like even attempting to judge someone's performance if you don't have an O-line to protect them. Like that's just how it goes.
We've seen that with Eli for like 5-10 years,
literally
so long.
And it's so easy to point a finger on someone, but then when you look at the big picture, like, yeah, everyone wants a stud. I get it. Like, you guys all want to draft you want to really get another, like, you need to look at the big picture and look at what the problem is. The problem in this freaking team is that there's a lot of problems, but we're getting there. Like, we're definitely making moves that are impressive.
One of the things with the trolls, you kind of just mentioned that what you said with the cell phones, right? I could imagine myself maybe 10, 15 years ago having social media be what it is currently and sit there and watch a Giants game. I mean, listen, you could talk to Mike and John right now and they'll tell you how they had to talk me off the ledge a couple of times watching some of the games last year, right? So like, you have these other people that don't know shit about football, aren't real fans. They'll sit there and they'll see a fumble, they'll see an interception, they'll see whatever, missed tackle, and they're on their Twitter, they're on their, Facebook nonsense, and they're sending out messages. So like that shit is even easier, right? And like, could you imagine when you had a couple of White Claws in you or a few beers? Forget it.
Well, yeah. How do you think I have it framed up there, both of them framed. How do you think I got blocked by Mark Colombo and Louis Riddick? Like, because I had too many White Claws and I had my Twitter, and then I had, Louis Riddick, you pissed me off during the Tampa game. So I don't feel bad about it. You were pissing me off, and now I'm blocked. But looking back on it, it's definitely because it's like so accessible now too.
Seriously. And that's what it is. Like literally, you could sit there in a bar and just be sitting there, and all of a sudden someone went to the bathroom and you're like, oh fuck it, I'm by myself. Let me just walk. You know what?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
an idiot, David Gettleman. He's not even playing, but fuck it, you still won.
Right. Yeah, and they watch the game and it's like I don't know when this happened, like when the shift was, like what generation, whose fault it is. But like all of a sudden everyone only watches the quarterback. Like we only watch the quarterback and the wide receivers. The rest of the game, or like the running backs too, I guess, but everything else just like doesn't matter anymore. It's like just what the quarterback's doing. Even though like the reason why the quarterback can't play is because the O-line literally looks like dancing monkeys. Like so it's oh God, it's so frustrating to me.
It's Tom Brady's fault.
What you mean about
be that asshole dick, right? Now everybody wants Tom Brady on their team. Fuck him.
It's always his fault, for real. When in doubt, it's Tom Brady's fault.
That's it.
Two Super Bowls. I think your point about the fantasy football though ruining kind of fandom, that goes right into what you're saying. You're looking at quarterbacks, you're looking at wide receivers. People are watching red zone more than they're watching their own teams now, especially the younger generation that grew up with both, not really knowing worlds of falling in love with a team and your players, because that's the only fucking option you had. Now they're just as more worried about, what, Johnny Ballsack's team is doing versus fucking, the Giants.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem with,
and they don't realize
we get all
either.
those arguments.
You're contributing to the cap issue because, like there's no one, like kids are now, they don't have a team and they're like just playing their fantasy sports. They have several screens up. They're checking their roster the entire game. They're only paying for red zone. No one's going to games. No one's buying apparel. No one gives a shit. Like you don't genuinely like the sport. You like the thrill of playing fantasy. Like, I can't even imagine checking my fantasy rosters during a game. I cannot even fathom that. Like, do I have red zone up? For sure, because like during especially if it's not a Giants game, yeah, red zone is on my iPad at least, and like I'm like looking to see what's going on. But for people that are just watching red zone, you're not seeing the whole thing. So this is where like things like Tua's an elite quarterback come from, because you're only seeing the elite quarterback on the iPad and you're just seeing 5 plays. You're not watching the full game. So it's just like totally deteriorating. And it's so weird because I feel like growing up, I never was like that. I don't know.
So you're telling me the Giants are playing a 4:00 game, right? And it's halftime. You're not checking your fantasy team if you're in a big matchup?
Oh,
come on,
no,
I'm not buying that. I'm all over my fucking phone. Commercials, halftime, end of the game.
I said this on like a pod the other day, like halftime and commercials, absolutely. But like, how can you like? I don't understand how you can like check all your rosters and you have like multiple screens up. Like kids are like doing math instead of like fucking watching. What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Listen, that's like that online poker where all of a sudden there's a guy in a poker room and he's playing like 17 different games with all those multiple hands. I'm like, oh, that's just lunacy, bro. I don't got time for that shit.
I know, literally.
It's like, I want to play poker. I'm going to play poker with one game and that's the end of it. But it's the same thing with the fantasy shit. I mean, granted, I usually do have multiple teams, so I am kind of bouncing around between that too. But
yeah, I definitely have an addiction. Like, I definitely play fantasy and abuse it for sure. But when the Giants are on, the Giants are on because it's my team.
Fair enough.
No one has teams anymore.
That's frustrating. I have a team. That's crazy. I can't imagine not being like a diehard fan of at least somebody.
I've worked with people that don't watch football at all. They just do the analytics. Right?
They're killers. They're serial killers. If you don't watch football, there's something the matter with you.
I'm sorry. What do you mean? You just like you don't know? I can't fathom that, and that's why I can't argue with people. Like, sometimes I just lose my shit. And lately I've just been blocking people. Like, I don't really care anymore. Like, you're obviously an idiot. So now I blocked you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not going to go back and forth with you about why it's a smart decision to fix the O-line. Like, if you don't know, I can't help you because you're obviously not a bright human.
There's people still arguing about like shit like that. They're still arguing about like Dave Gettleman about 2018 draft. There's people that quote tweets from 2018. I think he's like 2018 miscalculations guy. He's quoting people what people said back in the day. I'm like, what kind of loser does that kind of shit? Just root for your team and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like I can't imagine how clingy some of these people are to their exes because it's like you're really bringing up a draft from several years ago, like we're in a season that's 4 years past, and you really want to talk about the second overall pick from like in 1807. Like, just shut up. Like, it doesn't matter now, right? Like,
Right, it don't matter. We got him.
Not
He's
only
our
that,
guy.
they're wrong. No matter what, that was a good pick.
Of course,
Even still, it was still a good pick, and there's a million reasons why. Helping break in a new quarterback, having a true generational athlete, not this fucking every other guy drafted as a generational athlete every single year, a legitimate one, a god level athlete.
He will have a career high year this year, and then the same people that whine are gonna go buy his jersey, and that's what drives me
100%.
crazy. Like, that's
Oh my god, yeah,
gets
they're
me.
gonna be.
Because he just won
sitting
someone
there.
a fantasy championship.
They're fake fans, man. They're fucking fake.
Hey, I'm gonna give me a Barkley jersey. That dude just won me a championship.
Right. And the thing is, like, you can be bad at fantasy and still be a good football player. And people forget that as well. Like, it doesn't, just because they're not in, like, scoring you so many points, doesn't mean they're playing bad football. It just means they're only in the playbook so much and they're supposed to get one touchdown. Like, that's literally what their job is for the team, and they're still good. It doesn't mean they suck ass.
That's a fair point.
It's so true.
Yeah. Drives me crazy. Oof.
But these people need to go. I want all these haters, especially the Gettleman haters, to just get in line when we're good and we win the Super Bowl. I want them to get in line and rub Gettleman's feet
Like,
to completion.
no one saw the defense? Like, do we all see it go from 31 to 9, or are we all
Right.
like, we're ignoring that? Like, who was responsible for that? Because the movements for last season,
Don't
100%.
judge.
Yeah. Well, this free agency for sure. I think Gettleman might have been like locked in the basement or something. But like, I think that like, just like shut up about the Gettleman thing. He's here and he's not going anywhere. And Joe Judge is so obviously like hands deep and everything. Why is it still like you're really that butthurt about it?
They
Just
dwell
shut up.
on it. They dwell on all that shit. I mean, listen, if somebody wants to go after Dave Gettleman about hiring Pat Shermer, okay, you got me there. Like, it was a mistake, but you know
That's
what? He
fair.
fixed it. He fixed it quick. And then we got Joe Judge in here, and everybody's knocking the Joe Judge hire because nobody heard of him. Oh, he just came from New England. He's going to be another guy coming from New England that's going to suck. And look what he did. He turned around the fucking franchise.
Yeah, the
So,
best.
and it's
you
a
know
big
what the
effort. It's
best
a
is
combination effort.
they believe in Joe Judge, but you don't believe in what Joe Judge wants to do. Like, this one gets me. Like,
Yeah.
this cracks me up. So Joe Judge has told you the plan. He literally told you, I don't care what the record is. We're not going to win a lot of games. We're going to rebuild from the foundation up. We're going to fix the culture. I'm going to see what the hell is on the team. And Daniel Jones is our guy. And you disagree with literally all of that, but you believe in Joe Judge.
Right. How does that make sense? This is what I mean. These people are just morons.
Yeah. Use your head.
Those are the sheep of our fan base that the media none of the media likes Dave Gettleman except like two people. So they write fucking basically like Armageddon pieces every other week that they have the opportunity to do it. And the sheep just kind of fall in line. They believe everything that's said. They don't break down and think about anything. All they do is say, oh, Gettleman sucks. And they're convinced of it.
You know what? I'd rather rebuild like a team for example, a team I would never want to rebuild is the Cardinals. You want to know why? Because the Cardinals are going to get stuck in mediocrity. Like, they're going to stay very average. They're going to make it every year. They're going to be good, but they're not going to be great because they keep skipping over like important things. Washington has rebuilt beautifully. But if Washington doesn't, if they don't trade up and get a quarterback, they're going to put themselves in a shitty position for taking fits because they want to win games. And then what's going to happen next year is they're going to win too many games, and then their draft position is going to blow. And then then what? So there's ways to rebuild. What the Giants are doing is very impressive to me. It's like the Dolphins. Like, I'll give the Dolphins that. Like the Bills. Like, those are teams that are rebuilding properly. So I'd rather rebuild like that than get stuck at average like someone like the Cardinals.
Well, listen, after Mac Jones's pro day today, I don't think Washington has to trade up anymore. They'll be waiting.
That's true.
You guys better be happy with Mac Jones and Fitzpatrick.
They could definitely pick last, Jules. Yeah, that brings me into the next topic. You're comparing like different teams. Like, a lot of media people would like to compare the Giants with, the regimes, like to compare to like the teams like the Browns and the Dolphins. And then I'm going at it with people about this. And it's just the fact of the matter is, like, all right, you're comparing the Giants to the Browns and Dolphins, but the Browns and Dolphins, last time I checked, before like the past couple of years, they haven't made the playoffs in like 20 years. So you're really comparing us to them just by a regime? That doesn't make any sense to me.
You know, the funniest thing is too, I don't know what it is with like New York, and this happens with Eli. Like a lot of people forget, like when the first Super Bowl that he won, like that was one of his worst seasons he's ever played ever. Like his actual regular season was so bad. Like he threw like 27 turnovers.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, like he did not play well, and like all the fans like wanted to like totally write him off, and then he wins and they're all excited. But for some reason, every other young quarterback gets a tap on the back. It's okay, Baker Mayfield. It's okay next year. It's gonna be okay. Like it's
not
fine.
in New York.
And Tua now. Tua is
Sam Darnold gets fucking.
Like but then everyone else just gets the short stick. It's like Daniel Jones plays fantastic halfway through. People think that this is not his rookie year, which he didn't finish 16 games until this season. So everyone chill out.
Right.
And then you don't give him an O-line. You give him his two most targeted players literally can't catch the ball for shit. And then you get rid of Saquon. You have Jason Garrett. Like what do you want the kid to do? He's literally running for his damn life, and you're going to judge him? Like this year, it's make or break for him. But why doesn't he get the same shot as everyone else?
It's fair. I've been saying that for months now. Especially that they're taking out the time to put people in there offensively for Daniel Jones. This is it. This is make or break season for him. You know, look, if we're halfway through the season, his numbers are shit again, then it is what it is. We made a mistake. We should have never taken him. And look, maybe Sam Darnold doesn't get as much bullshit that he deserves. Listen, they feel bad for him. He sees ghost. He had mono. I mean, who the fuck had goes through all that shit as a fucking professional quarterback, dude? Like, for real?
Right? The poor kid. I feel so awful.
Man.
He's like, so, I don't know if you guys ever saw my tweets. Like, it probably
I didn't know mono affects you like that when you see ghosts on the fucking field. Like, that's some crazy shit.
I don't want that shit.
The poor kid needs an exorcism, like, and you're like expecting like,
oh man, I think they just made up that mono bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't even know what's up, but I feel like with him too, it's like the environment. You expect a quarterback to come in. That's why it's always better to build from the trenches and then build out. Like it's like to just bring a guy in and expect him to do fantastic. Like even like Hurts, for example, like, yeah, he's mobile. Cool. That's great. I don't give a fuck. He hasn't played 16 games and now you're giving him what to work with? Like you're expecting guys to go in there like Darnold and you're just like totally screwing their career. So I feel bad for Darnold. I wish Darnold got moved somewhere, but I think he's going to get stuck there.
Listen, he still could. I mean, look, a lot of people are saying that Zach Wilson will be taken with that second pick overall.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot.
Yeah, but guess what? Where did Darnold go? Are you guys idiots? Like you're acting like Darnold was like a 10th round. Like just chill. He's obviously there's a reason why we were all obsessed with him. So just relax. It's going to be okay.
I just think there's a lot of hatred around the Giants organization as far as people that aren't part of the fan base and even some that are, right? Because, I mean, look, for example, like Freddie Kitchens was the head coach in Cleveland. He gets fired, right? And then Stefanski comes in, and all of a sudden now the Browns became, they took it to the next level. Baker Mayfield played better than he ever did, right? So they had to have that change, right? So now literally, like, that's sort of what the Giants are going through with Joe Judge. Look, the Dolphins, I don't know if it's really Brian Flores or if it has to do with the fact that they just got 100 draft picks. I mean, they're still fucking getting picks. They had Houston's pick. They're picking fucking 3, and they just missed the playoffs last season.
Right.
There was a lot of that shit going on that these teams may have been a little bit more excelled to getting ahead of the game faster than the Giants were. And look, like you mentioned before, it's not only Daniel Jones's make or break year. It's Dave Gettleman's. It's going to be Jason Garrett's, which I know we're going to get into in a little bit. And it's going to be everybody. This is kind of the perfect storm in a way, because I was saying it last year. There was no reason to have anybody get fired that would have been a huge firing. Let it ride. You brought in a brand new rookie coach. First time he's a head coach. Let it fucking ride. Now you got a bunch of people that can take the heat if shit don't work out in 2021.
Yeah. And I mean, like, to give Daniel, you know what? Boy, and I'm sure we will get to it, but Jason Garrett is obviously in his wrong, but is he more capable than what he demonstrated last year? I sure hope to shit he is. But I think that, like, you have to give him another chance in the system. And I think another thing that a lot of actually the entire league forgets this. It's something I preach on, whether it's a fantasy football, soccer, baseball, I don't really give a shit. Is like, this was the youngest team in the NFL. Like, people forget that. This is, what the vet was on offense? What, Sterling Shepard,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
a
I know.
veteran. Like, come on.
Crazy.
I mean, like, they got vets on defense. You see how powerful someone like Logan Ryan is. Like, that's such an important, like, those are important pieces to the team that they just didn't have. I mean, you have Nick Gates playing center. The dude's never played center before. Like, that's a good idea for our new young quarterback, is a center that snaps up. And you go back in the film, he struggled this year a lot. That there in the Rams game, I'll never forget this. Daniel Jones jumped so high to get the ball. It was the worst snap I've seen in the NFL to date. I have it recorded in a folder. Shitty snap. It's literally like the worst snap I've ever seen. So you add things like that. You have Andrew Thomas, who's like broke a foot at some point that we like all of a sudden didn't know about. Then you have Fleming just being a moron. Then Colombo's making it worse. Then you change the coach in between. So the whole thing was a disaster.
It was a big time.
Not having an off season didn't help either.
What do you
They
say?
couldn't get on the field. I was saying not having an off season where they could at least play with each other on the field and practice for a few months. That was a huge deal.
That
I
hurt
think
a lot.
Parrott would have started. I think if they had an off season, Parrott would have ended up starting. To be honest with you, I really think so.
That would have been fine with me. I hope he's a starter this year.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, could you imagine if Gettleman in one draft in the span of 3 picks got both the franchise left and right tackles at the same exact time that they play together the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years?
I mean, he should have never, after the first Washington game, there is zero reason that Parrott shouldn't have been in that game. They set that boy up for failure, and then they're like, he let up 3 sacks. Yeah, because you literally let him. Like, you let him in the game 3 times, then you let him continuously let up pressures after being sick and hurt. So that's your own fault. That's the organization failing him, not him failing the organization. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous.
Right. It seemed like they teed up on Daniel Jones, especially after Barkley got hurt. They just teed up on him, man. Like with that line is like a rookie line. You got to give a rookie line. That's why, I mean, we'll get to the draft, like who the Giants should draft at 11. I'm not a big fan of drafting an offensive tackle or an offensive guard because I want to see these guys that we wasted 3 draft picks last year get the experience and the time, because that's how you build a successful offensive line. But before we get to that, is Jason Garrett on the hot seat? Is he on the hot seat? I want to see him, like you said, get another chance. I want to see him run his plays. I want to see him fully healthy with his weapons, because we really didn't have any weapons last year. I Dallas, as much I hate to admit this, they did have one of the top 5 offenses when Jason Garrett was there. So I'm not going to doubt the guy. Like a lot of people want him off, we got to get him out of the offensive coordinator position. I don't believe that.
Listen,
yeah, I'll admit I was ready for him to go. I think that, you got to come up with something more than curl roots and Evan Ingram reverse. You got to figure it out. On 3rd and 6, what the hell are you doing, dude? Just figure it out. And you have a young team that's going to be obedient. This isn't, it's not playing with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and these older veterans that are okay, we're not actually going to listen to you. We're going to do whatever we want. So they're going to be obedient. Follow your instruction. You're a leader. You need to lead. And then also, I mean, but he did, so I will argue for Jason Garrett that, you lose Saquon Barkley. You got Evan Ingram, which you should have stopped targeting him, is part of the problem because he's not Witten. What? Did we get Witten and Rudolph? Is that a red zone threat? Absolutely. I think Rudolph is going to be a better signing than people think because of the way Jason Garrett plays. I think that, what did he have? He lost us 35 points this season.
Something ridiculous like that.
And then Slayton lost 11. Those are the 2 most targeted players on this team. So right there, that's the difference in 2 to 3 games. I mean, Ingram and Slayton really did not pull through this. I mean, Shepard actually had a great season for even not playing as much as he could, but at least his completion percentage was 72.37. I don't remember what it is. And then
I think it was over 80.
What was that?
I think it was over 80. Shepard's catch percentage.
Yeah.
It was some ridiculous number.
Yeah,
81, 82, something like that.
Exactly. And the thing is, all the guys, and I say this a lot, and the Giants are very guilty of this, they're the use and abuse Giants. So you can't force players to fit a role that they don't fit. Stop trying to shove them into a role, right? Mm-hmm. Slayton and Shepard are not wide receiver 1s. period. Slayton is lucky to be called a wide receiver 2, if that. He should not be playing that. And none of these players, I mean, like they need backup. Like the reason why Saquon got hurt is because you're expecting him to win the entire game. That's not okay. You can't expect him to win a game. So they all, Shepard, Slayton, and Ingram's all their best years, including Saquon, actually, is when they had a wide receiver 1. So, and we haven't seen that in a while since OBJ, So I'm excited. I think that as long as that O-line's going to get fixed, but I mean, Garrett, you got options now. And I think that Judge will have his hand in a little bit more. I think that the way that they moved Kitchens, what did they move him to, like offensive assistant or something?
Yeah, something like that. I think he's going to have a bigger play call.
Yeah. So that makes what from the outside looking in, what that seems like is that if you don't pull it together by week 5, you're out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, I think that he could easily slide into that. So, but I think it'll be good for Danny, for all these guys that, they're all young is the thing. They're all young guys. So it's nice to have the same face. You give them a season off together, bring Saquon back. I mean, they have options now. We're talking Golladay, Saquon, Rudolph, Ingram, Slayton, Shepard, and Ross. I mean, like what people don't realize about Ross is going to be a shitty fantasy player for all the fantasy people. He's going to come in 1 to 2 times a game to get 1 to 2 touchdowns. That is going to be his role. You're not going to see him in the game a lot. He's literally just there for the deep ball threat and to just get a touchdown. That's it. So like, that's still a good signing because it gives you options. And that's what the playbook has been lacking for years.
Listen, I don't think Garrett's necessarily on the hot seat, right? Because he's actually in the best position he can honestly be in, right? Because look at it this way. Everybody already said he sucked. He has no expectations, right? If you recall, they made a big deal out of nowhere that he fucking got signed and he's staying with the Giants. Like, that was a big news. Everybody was like, yeah, where the fuck else is he going to go, right? Like, so he has nothing to lose, like, at that point. He's got no pressure on him because here's the deal. If the Giants succeed, which they're in position to do right now, we mentioned all the names that we have, including John Ross, which you're right, ain't going to do shit in fantasy, but that dude's going to be on the field enough to have to keep safeties honest because he can go over the top at any moment against them. And maybe it even brings Slayton to that next level and shows him what kind of receiver he could be in that type of a over-the-top deep ball type of threat. But, with all that said, it's like, Garrett's just sitting there chilling. He's like, you guys are getting me all this shit. We didn't even go to the draft yet. If I do good and the Giants just average 23 or 24 points a game, I'm getting a motherfucking head coaching job next year. Fuck you guys. I'm out. Like, you don't give a shit, dude. That's why we're putting Kitchen and everybody else in place. You know what I'm saying? We're getting ready for him to bounce. He's done this year. It don't matter. He's either moving on to success or that motherfucker's done and he's going to be coaching fucking high school football or some shit. Like, that's it.
But Judge wants to bring his own guys in. It's very obvious, right? Like, Judge can say whatever he wants. That's the one thing I don't buy from him. Bro. Like, let's just look at what you've done. You're trying to fill this with people that you have coached before. I mean, it's very obvious. So I think that Colombo and Garrett were very much not Gettleman hires. I think those were Mara hires, and I think that Judge is just rolling with it because he knows if he gets enough weapons and he has his hands in there, and I think with an off season it'll be okay. But I don't know that, I don't think Garrett is a permanent solution here for several years, the way that Judge is planning on being here.
If Joe Judge gets rid of him like he did fucking Colombo last year, man, he's definitely got a footprint on this fucking team. Let me tell you.
And listen, you know what, too? I also think let's not forget when Dak first came into the league, Dak Prescott, no one said shit about this guy, right? They were saying he was going to be a bust. He wasn't even that great at A&M, and he developed, all right? He developed under Garrett, right? And I think that's part of what they brought him in for was for Daniel Jones. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, but here we go again, right? So now Daniel Jones throws for, say, 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. Who's going to get the credit? Right? It's
light work, bro.
Kind of falling him a little bit. They might say something else, but I'm telling you, that dude's going to be an HC somewhere. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Good. I hope they do good so we get rid of him.
There you go. We got another reason to cheer for the offense.
But that least
works out. I prefer that he stays here for another couple of years. I like the idea of having consistency. I want Patrick Graham to stay here for a few years. When you start turning over coaches, you're eventually going to find the bad one.
Yeah.
If it works, if they come out and with the new weapons that they have, I mean, Garrett's been in the league he's been coaching for 15, 20 years at this point. Yeah. We got to remember with no offseason, the youngest offensive line in football, Daniel Jones was the leading rusher on the team for the first 8 weeks of the season, each and every single game.
Ridiculous.
The team had a serious handicap, and obviously Jason Garrett was
damn life.
yeah, but they at a certain point they clicked. They all started to play better together. The offensive line, they were able to move the ball. They were able to score points. They were able to run the ball successfully. And it came to a head, obviously, in the Seattle game where they just ran it down Seattle's throat and broke their fucking entire franchise, apparently. Since that game, that franchise has been downhill.
Yeah, Russell's like, I want out.
I think with Garrett having the pieces that he thinks that he needs to run his offense successfully, which Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, and hopefully Evan Ingram, Slayton, Saquon, I think that he's going to surprise some people. I think it's going to end up coming up aces with that, and I hope he ends up staying for 22 and 23 as well.
Well, now leading to that, like, who do you think we should draft at number 11? I say, like, I want a wide receiver again because you know what? Shep ain't going to be here the long term. Slayton,
Really?
like Steph, you're right about Slayton. We don't know about him. Like, he's still like up in the air. Like, he didn't really show me a lot.
He pissed me off this year. I'm not gonna lie, because I've been rooting for him. He really pissed me off this year.
He was hurt though.
That's why. Yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt for a while after. I got to give him credit for that. But listen, I mean, if Devontae Smith is there, I want that motherfucker on the Giants, man. That's electric. That's like having like OBJ.
Down easy. I don't know if you guys saw when Joe Judge was talking towards the end of the season, almost the end of the season, and he said how deep the wide receiver class is and how there's going to be fantastic talent in the second and third round. When he said that, I knew right there from that moment we were not getting a wide receiver. Unless it's like, I don't know, I just don't see it happening. I think the Galladay, if they didn't sign Ross, maybe I could get behind it, but I think
It's only 1 year. It's only 1 year deal.
I know, but I think there's fantastic talent in the second and third round. Like I think that we're going to see more studs come out of the later rounds. To be honest, I'm being honest. That's what I think.
That's a trend in football. If you look back over the last 15, 20 drafts, it's usually the receivers that were picked, the fourth, fifth, sixth in their class that ends up having the best careers. And the ones that are picked in the first couple, those are the ones that end up being flops.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Coleman, John Ross, just to name giants by themselves.
Yeah, and I think that they've shown that they can make nothing. Like, everyone thought all these guys were going to be crap. I mean, even like Carter Coughlin, like random guys like that like Cam Brown, like these guys that came out of nowhere and they kind of flipped around, like made something. So I believe in Judge that if he takes a guy in the second and third round, but we need to take another wide receiver though. I'm not saying don't address that. It needs to be addressed. You can't let it go to the fourth round. That I'll be like, unless it's the second one you've taken, but.
If I feel like you were about to say a name that you could get behind, but then kind of stopped yourself. Were you referring to like if Jalen Wilder was there, if we didn't sign Ross, that would have been the person you would want them to take at 11, or better, if Devontae Smith is there, let's say he falls, would you want to take?
I love Devontae Smith, so I like Waddle. Listen, I like Waddle and I get it, but like I personally think Devontae Smith's like football IQ is unlike anything that I've seen in a really long time, like a wide receiver like that. Like he is so he's like knows what's happening. He's like literally such a G. Watching his film is awesome.
No, please,
I
think,
but I think I just don't see it happening. I think that with the way that things are moving, I'd be shocked that we take a wide receiver. I mean, I'd be happy though. I'm not going to be mad is the thing, because I think there's talent. Like I did like 4, I like sat and did mock drafts for like hours the other night, and I came up with 4. One was taking a wide receiver, one was taking edge, one was taking Parsons, one was taking Slater. And then so those were like the 4 options I feel like are at our disposal. I think that we could get away with not taking an edge in the first round. I don't know that it's necessary. I think that we got by. I think that it can be a Band-Aid. I just don't see that really being a necessity. I think there are some like decent edges to like some solid like talent that probably need like a little bit more time to mature, but I think they could get there. So I think that's something that you wait for later on. But I think, Parsons is really hard to turn down is the thing. Like that's he's another one. Like he's one of those players that there's only a few that I think you can confidently say will 100% be fantastic in the league. Like, I think he will be fantastic.
It's
That's a
almost
good
like you're in my head. You like Devontae Smith and Micah Parsons? Like, yo, I don't even have to talk anymore. I can just sit back. You already did all the talking for me. It's perfect. Hell yeah, 100% I'm on board. If either one of them is sitting at 11, it's a fucking no-brainer for me. And listen, I hope Parsons falls down because of the whole, the whole thing about his character and all the bullshit. If you actually read the article that was read about him, it's bullshit. All right. He literally went up to that dude Humphreys, who was a underclassman, and the dude was sleeping like in the mess hall, and he poured water on him. Humphreys gets up, gets pissed because a little bit got on his fucking cell phone, got on his computer, and he throws Gatorade back at Parsons. So as a typical 20-year-old kid would fucking do, 19, whatever he was, he punched him in the fucking face, and then they start fighting. Like it's football. Like, grow the fuck up. Like, it is what it is. Listen, he put him in a chokehold, which means he probably just put him in a headlock and was pumping him around the room. And Humphreys pulls a knife on Parsons, and yet Parsons has the character issues.
Also,
I hope Denver passes on him. Denver, you're right. He's a psycho. Don't take him and let him fucking fall to us at 11, please.
what's the one? Who's the one coach that can handle it? Like, who is the one coach that you can think of in this entire league that could literally handle an attitude? I don't give a shit what their past is, because I trust that Judge can handle it. That's why I was okay with taking Juju on. Like, because I know that the talent is there. His attitude sucks. He's a punk and he's immature. But you know who can fix that? I think it's Joe Judge. I'm confident. I'm not even looking at those things this year. Like, I don't care, because I think that Judge is the guy that can handle it. And if he thinks he can take it on, I believe in him.
Absolutely. And listen, he's got that disciplinarian in him from working with Belichick, from working with Nick Saban. You could just see he brings that kind of shit to his team. And that's the type of thing you need for that player, right? Because if they see Micah Parsons really fell, who's taking him? New England. Why? Because fucking Belichick's there. It's the same shit. There ain't no difference. Like, he's got that same sort of mentality, and that's what he's setting up. Look, he went to Penn State. There's a reason why Joe Judge was at the pro day in Penn State, and they sent, what's his name, Kyle O'Brien from Detroit that we just got. They sent him over to go watch Kwity Paye. There's a reason why they're doing that type of shit, all right? The coach don't just go to a pro day for the hell of it. He's going there for a reason, because he wants to meet this kid face to face. And like I said, the only threat I see taking him is Denver. I don't think any other team will take him, because everyone else has so many other.
No, I'm nervous about. There's gonna be a lot of trade that, like, things gonna get weird in this draft, and that's what makes me nervous. Like, I honestly think it's gonna be like, I don't think anyone can accurately. That's why I did the mocks that way, because I think it could go one of four ways. Like, we're either gonna take
all the trades trading up, like San Fran trading up, like it's already chaos.
Yeah, and it hasn't even started.
Right. Right. We still have a month to go.
Just wait until one of those teams doesn't take a quarterback that everyone thinks is going to take a quarterback. Just wait until they trade down. Just wait for it. And then it's going to just erupt, and it's going to be nonsense. But it feels good for the first time ever going into the draft, where should that happen, it's okay, because we have options to take in the first round. When is the last time that we could say that? That's crazy.
Seriously, where you don't feel forced to take a specific need or a specific player because you're picking at that position. The Giants don't. I've literally been saying that for weeks, where it's like, look, we went out, we got Galladay. That was the biggest thing that I was concerned about. And trust me, I lost my shit on Twitter when I didn't think we signed them on Saturday. We talked about that last week. But anyhow, once we did that and we got it, even John Mara said, he's like, yo, we're in a position where we can literally take the best player available.
And Jackson too, like, that takes off a huge stressor. Like, I thought we could have handled, people forget about Xavier McKinney, so I think that we probably could have band-aided that hole and waited to a later round. But, like, I think that they would have done something dumb and went. So, like, I feel like Joe Judge basically, what they did was prepare themselves to get to the draft because of how, like, crazy things are. And no matter what happens, it's okay. Waddle, Smith, and Chase are gone. No biggie. We'll take Parsons. Oh, Parsons is gone. We'll take Kwity. Oh, Kwitty's gone. Like, you have room. We'll take somebody. Like, it's not that big of a deal, because you can fill a hole anywhere now.
If you told me somehow all three receivers were gone before 11 and Kyle Pitts, I would be fucking celebrating. You know why? That means the Eagles don't get fucking anybody. Like, fuck you, assholes. I hope Jalen Reagor works out.
Wild. I can't wait to see what ends up happening with them.
I hope they draft an offensive lineman. And I hope that they draft the right guard. That's what I want.
That's what you want?
I hope they drafted their wide receiver that bust.
Oh, the Eagles? Oh no,
Man.
no, I don't have to draft the quarterback that far.
I'm like daydreaming about the Eagles just ruining the draft.
Whatever they do, they're gonna fuck up anyway. So it don't matter what they do, man. They're gonna be the worst team.
Probably gonna draft a quarterback at 12. They're gonna just wait for someone to fall.
You know, they'll
And
get
then
Mac
just
Jones because
Yeah,
he had
Mac
that
Jones.
impressive fucking pro day today.
Mac
That
Jones-
meme, that fucking GIF or video, whatever it was, of Bill Belichick shaking his head after that throw was hysterical.
Yo, that one, that one in Shadowheads was a fucking priceless, dude. That shit was everywhere today. Yo, if you haven't seen it, make sure you look and see it, Dale, for real.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
I love Belichick. You see the audio with him, like talking to Chad Ochocinco, and
Oh my gosh.
he's talking to Derek Mason and shit. Like, yeah, Bill Belichick's awesome, man. I love him.
I want him to be our general manager. 2 years. Just come on over, baby.
That's what I said. I said he's gonna be the president and general manager. Like, people don't know. Like, once Gettleman decides to
President.
retire,
Yeah.
Bill
Bill
I don't want to be a
Belichick-
general manager. He's not awesome at draft day.
He's gonna make the Patriots poor, so we don't have to think about them, and then come to the Giants.
yeah, for real.
He could be a team president. I don't. He's not a good drafter. I'd rather him just kind of like have that air over the franchise. That's what I would like to say.
Yeah.
I just want him to be
I
here.
think Joe Judge is like very militant that no one's getting a say in anything. Like
He's got.
Mike.
There's something about him, man. From the very second he stepped up to that podium last year, when he had an introductory press conference, I think I said it last week. It's just like a cosmic fucking shift.
Mhm.
Just want to run through a
We're
wall.
going into a really fun era of Giants football.
Like, yeah, whatever he says, like, yo, like, yeah, I'm down, man. Let's fight. You know what I mean? If he wants to fight,
Yeah, he's got some God in him or something. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
just love the way he addresses the media too. Like
Yeah,
the way that he addresses it is so hilarious to me.
yeah, he
Like,
put Kim Jones in her place. He put everybody. Let me tell you, I love him, man.
he's the best.
Listen, think about all the criticism we got for making players run laps and doing all that shit. You know what? That's how you make this team realize who's in charge, right? Like, you know, these professionals sometimes they get ahead of themselves because they got these monster contracts and they don't want to play as a team and as a unit and work together. When you got to run somebody that's running fucking laps and you're on a pro level, right? Like that sits in your head. You're kind of like, yo, what the fuck did I just do to get this to happen to me? You know?
Players want to come here. Since when do players want to play for the New York Giants?
Seriously.
It's been a damn minute.
Yeah, for real. You know, like that's something you got to kind of like take for what it is. And that's why when I see all the shit, because we're gonna get into it in a minute, we got to do a quick commercial. But what I had to say with that is, you know, with the whole gambling, the Giants are still predicted to finish. They're tied right now with the Eagles as far as what DraftKings is saying. Right, as far as odds to win the division, I can't. Like, I'm gonna keep saying that shit till they change it. I'm gonna have to call whoever the fuck does the odds in Vegas. I'm like, what are you fucking idiots thinking of, man? Like, that shit don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying?
Just write it down on paper. Like, just look at what happened. So, and then you know what's the cutest thing? It cracks me up. Is like everyone thinks that the Giants won 2 games. That's the way that the league that they won 2. These
Right.
idiots managed to win 6 games. Like, that is impressive. Okay. I thought we were going to win 5 this year going into it. I thought we'd win 5 games from what was going on. I figured that something would happen with the offseason just because of the way that I know injuries. And I thought 5 games. These guys somehow pulled off 6 games without Daniel Jones, a couple games without Saquon, with the worst O-line. Like, that was one of the worst O-line performances I've seen. Like, it was an abomination. So the fact that they had 6 games and now you're telling me you added like an abundance of people before the draft and you're bringing staff back and players want to play here. And it's Daniel Jones I mean, he's coming off his sophomore slump and Jason Garrett is give me a break that they're going to do worse. Like, come on.
That's great.
They're
Guys,
great.
the limit.
They had multiple games stolen from them this season.
Multiple
games.
They could have won what? The only game that they really, really lost was the 49ers game, which was disgusting. Like,
Yeah, that
they
was
could have
bad.
figured every other game. Every other game was on someone.
The first Philly game, the first Dallas game, both of those should have been wins. The game against the
Rams?
Bears, the Rams game could have been a fucking win if they, you know,
Super Bowl
you're talking
champ.
about one single play away from being an 11-5 team without Saquon Barkley, and we're gonna win 3 or 4 games this year. Get the fuck out of here.
And now Galladay is coming. Like, they only lost most
Yeah.
of these games by 3 points. At maximum, it's like 2 points. I mean, like, it was stupid shit, like Ingram losing 35 points and Slayton losing 11. That's 4, whatever, freaking do the math. That's like
It's a
literally,
touchdown game for all the losses.
oh my God.
They're just haters.
Literally a touchdown game.
So it sounds like we're kind of all in agreement that like betting on the Giants would be a good thing.
They're
Right?
gonna win the whole.
Like I think
Bro,
we
take
get that
it back.
4.5 to 1. Like that shit's worth the money. Mike, where can they go bet? Where are DraftKings, man?
You could bet on DraftKings, man, if you want. Like March Madness ain't over yet. If you want to go to March Madness on the, DraftKings.com/Brawl March, you can book this fucking game before the, April 5th. Get that tip off before the national game. Bet the fucking national game, win some money, man. Just throw a couple dollars there. It's like 100-to-1 odds on any team you want to fucking bet on. There's like 8 teams left right now. Just throw your money in, man.
Technically
Get that
6
money.
right now, but it'll be 4 by the end of tonight.
6. It'll be 4 by tonight. Yeah, tonight's a.
You know?
I don't want people to pick up on it because I mean all these, all these dynasty startups. I'm picking up Daniel Jones in like the 14th round. Are you guys mad? Like the guy literally scored, like he was consistent until he got hurt, and like because he can run. So now you give him weapons? Come on. I'll take him in the 14th round and then I'm just gonna stack my team and not take a quarterback.
He's a sleeper pick. He's a sleeper pick, apparently,
Well, listen, also, like we said, Manscaped, right? So you're going to put the bet in. You're going to bet on the Giants through DraftKings. You're going to take them to win the division because we've been saying this for about a month already. And then you go out and get your Manscaped, right? Because we tell you all the time that we all got it. Manscaped's awesome, right? It's along with the award-winning Lawnmower 3.0. That's the one that we got. And you have a package called the Weed Whacker. It comes with ear and nose hair trimmers. It provides everything that you could possibly need. All right. Like, so listen, go to Manscaped, go to DraftKings. That's what we've been telling everyone to do. All right. These are the little advices that we could give to you on Giants Brawl here.
No one wants your nose hairs like coming out of your nose after you won a game like that. It's just not.
Especially coming out of this whole like coronavirus shit, man. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people that can use some of this lawnmower shit.
You get Manscaped. It's a little bit.
All right, before
Their cologne is fucking good, man. That shit smells so good.
Let's see that.
Yeah.
I'm running out. I gotta buy another one.
Yeah, fine. Fresh. All that shit. You guys got to take care of yourselves, man. Take care of yourself for your woman. If you got a woman, or even man, if you got a man, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, everyone take care of yourself. Just hygiene,
That's it. That's the most important thing.
Wash everything. Wash your ass. Do all that shit. All right, Seth. Before we go, I got to ask you this one question. I seen across your timeline, there's a picture of you, right? With, I don't know what's up with you and gooses, but there's a bunch of gooses out there. There's a picture with you with a goose on a leash. Is that real? Do you really have a goose on a leash?
I don't know. Okay. So now these burner things are coming out, which is so funny. A couple weeks ago, someone made a Snapchat, but it wasn't my Snapchat, and they were just like messaging. I don't know. But then the most recent one is someone made my pet goose a Twitter account.
You have a pet goose?
I don't have a pet goose. No, I have Giants Twitter. That's my pet goose. Okay. Well, because like when I first started out, I started getting sick of people, and I was really instigating for a while. Like I was definitely a little rough in the streets for a while, just screaming at everyone, being obnoxious. So I used to tell people to get in the pond if they want to be a silly goose. So that's why.
I think we got the title of the show.
Right. That's the title of the show this week. Yeah.
So if you want to act like a silly goose, that's okay. Just you can get in the pond. Just go get in the pond then. Go along, get in the pond.
We'll go back to Canada, one or the other.
And have you guys seen Top Gun?
Of course.
Yes. So I just ordered a shirt today, and it's a goose, and it has like the helmet on it, and it says "Talk to me."
Great.
All right.
The title of the show is going to get in the pond if you want to act like a silly goose.
Go ahead.
So, I call my girlfriend Silly Goose. I've been calling my girlfriend Silly Goose for fucking 5 years. She absolutely hates it. When she listens to this, she's gonna throw her fucking phone. I'm gonna enjoy everything. Hi, Nancy. You are a Silly Goose.
I'm so sorry. It's when like everyone was trying to say that like there was nothing wrong with the O-line during it, like around week 4, and I'm like, they're tripping over each other. You goosies, like you are a goosey. Go get in the pond if you want to act like that, but don't come yelling at me. And guess Guess who called the Colombo fire egg? Me. So guess who's the goosey? You. I called the Colombo fire egg. And now you're a
Listen,
goose.
John, you can use a leg up here now, right? Like you got to be kind of creative with this. You can just be like, listen, stop being a pond, right? You saw that shit. Like we know what it means, right? Now you're talking like a curse. Like what are you talking about?
I say cutie pie. Sometimes it's like, okay, cutie pie. Like
Yeah,
it
that's
gets
it.
so mad.
You
You
gotta
know,
be creative with that shit.
Oh God. I'm such a jerk.
That's great. All right, Jules, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, listen, I'm sorry. We got to wrap this episode up. Steffi, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on. Her Twitter handle is Steffi Smalls on Twitter. You know us. It's Mike MFT, Mike Trainer, Slap Parade, Jules NYC1. You know where you catch us on that. Catch us on Facebook. We got AOL, Brawl Network. You know how we do it. But that's the episode for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll talk to you. See you next week. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Bye, Goosey.